I'm Christine Persichetti. A beloved Jersey Shore pier has finally been resurrected after it was destroyed by Hurricane Sandy more than a decade ago. But this time it looks a little different. You see, the pier is now the shape of a cross. Currents News' Jessica Easthope tells us it's an effort by the beach community to bring Christ to the coast.
They call Ocean Grove, New Jersey, God's square mile, and it just got a little longer. This 500-foot pier that juts out into the Atlantic Ocean is shaped like a cross.
It's reflective of Ocean Grove's history as a Christian seaside resort. We have been this since our founding.
Michael Badger is the president of the Ocean Grove Camp Meeting Association, a nonprofit established after the end of the Civil War when the Methodist Church put down roots in the small shore town. The association owns all of the land in Ocean Grove, including the boardwalk, beach, and the pier.
All of this was destroyed all the way back.
The town's original pier was swept away by Hurricane Sandy. Being a religious nonprofit, the association wasn't eligible for FEMA funding and raised $2 million for the project. But the design sparked a debate about religious freedom.
Historically, that's the foundation of the town.
Marianne Giacchetti has lived in Ocean Grove for 7 years. Her morning walk now includes coming to the ends of the pier, which some residents say is a secular space where a cross doesn't belong.
It feels like everybody can be who they want to be and don't come against me because like this is who I am and support us or it's going to be like you're canceled. And sometimes it feels like accept Christians.
The free exercise of religion is not exclusively to be done in your home and in your church sanctuary. You can be who you are in the public eye, especially on your own private land.
For Ocean Grove, the cross is a reminder that Christ welcomed everybody.
This is who God's called us to be, and we're going to do this in the public square, and you're welcome. Please come.
And that is the hope. In Ocean Grove, New Jersey, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Gonna have to check it out this summer. Thursday marks the solemnity of the Ascension of Jesus Christ, and the Bishop of Brooklyn marked the feast in Mass. Bishop Robert Brennan celebrating the liturgy at St. Therese of Lisieux in Flatbush. The bishop said this day marks when Jesus ascended into heaven and sent us the Holy Spirit, allowing us to be confident that God knows us, loves us, and is always with us. On June 3rd, the Diocese of Brooklyn will ordain 4 new priests, but that doesn't mean you have to wait until then to get to know them. Every week this month, ahead of their ordination, the tablet is introducing one of the new guys. We've already met 2 so far. In this special series, we learn about how they heard their calling. This year, the new priests come from all over the world. To meet this week's new priests, just pick up a copy of the tablet at your local church. And if you missed last week's introduction, be sure to subscribe at thetablet.org to read all about it. Turning to the humanitarian crisis in New York City. After parents spent days protesting, migrants are now being relocated from at least one of the city's public school gymnasiums. Those voices were heard Wednesday, and the migrants were moved. They were escorted out of a Coney Island school gym, but back onto buses and shuffled to an office in Midtown. City officials are insisting this isn't a change of plans, but that the gyms were always a short-term solution. Across the ocean in the UK, a moral crisis is developing after a baby was born using the DNA of 3 different people. The experimental technique is meant to prevent passing on rare genetic diseases such as epilepsy and heart problems. The procedure alters the DNA of an embryo by including the DNA from another person, something Catholic ethicists are against, since a human embryo is a new life and it should be respected and protected. Joining us now is one of those ethicists sounding the alarm over this embryo modification birthing technique, the Director of Education for the National Catholic Bioethics Center, Father Tad Pacholczyk. Hi, Father.
Hi, Christine. Good to be able to join you.
Thanks for being here. So first, explain the process of this technique for people at home who may not understand it. In order to make one person, they essentially have to destroy 2 others, right?
That's correct. And the reason they would be doing this is because if you have what's called a mitochondrial disease, there can be some very, very serious side effects for children who are born with it. So this is being offered as a kind of therapy, but it's not actually a therapy. What it is a cobbling together of a brand new embryo out of the parts of other embryos. So that's part of the ethical concern. The other part, of course, is that all of this relies on in vitro fertilization as part of the technology, which, as you're aware, the church since the beginning has articulated some very fundamental objections to that approach to bringing new life into the world, because it's outside of the marital embrace and it's moving that production of life into the laboratory.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like they're playing God. Obviously, as Catholics, we know we can't do that. But is there any science that is acceptable to the church when it comes to birthing children?
Yes, when there are problems with fertility. So, for example, you might have a woman who has a blocked fallopian tube, and you could do a surgery that would clear the blockage, and that way she could conceive normally with her husband. So any of those approaches that respect the natural process and just address an underlying issue, those will always be acceptable to the church, and they'll be fine.
Okay, and now while researching this topic, I came across an article from MIT which says this technique could actually backfire and create babies at risk of severe disease before you use the word therapy. It's not really that.
Yes. So exactly. There's a concern here that as you do this mitochondrial transfer, what you're trying to do is getting rid of bad mitochondria. So that's why you have to cobble together the embryos, as we described earlier. But when you do this, you sometimes will still track in a small number of these little mitochondria, and they can take over the scene, as it were, and sort of recontaminate the embryo. So it's not like this is a guaranteed fix or outcome. It's very much in its infancy at a very, very early stage. Only about 5 babies in the whole world have been born this way.
All right, and we will definitely continue to follow this. Father Tad Pacholczyk, Director of Education for the National Catholic Bioethics Center, thanks so much for your insight.
Well, thanks for having me. Great to be able to join you today.
And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. We'll be bringing you abbreviated newscasts for the next few weeks, but as always, we are still committed to putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.